Hey, this your boy J Ray back with another video, back with another live stream, and today is Tech Tuesday, and we have a lot of stuff to talk about. If your notifications been going crazy, that's because I was trying to upload on my iPhone 6s Plus this video, and for some reason it wasn't wanting to play nice with YouTube. I thought it was working last week, and now it's not working, but whatever. I got it working. So. Anyway, we got a lot to talk about. If you're new to this channel, please hit that like button, pound that subscribe button. Help me to grow. And if you like my content, if you like what I put out, I do everything from talking about comic books to movies to history to my relationship with Christ, technology. I do a little bit of everything on this channel. So if you like a variety of content and you like watching video games and stuff like that, then this is your channel. Please spread the word, help my channel to grow. I'm really hyped because we got over 100 subscribers, so I'm greatly appreciative of that. Now, Apple released a slew of products. Now, before we get into the discussion of what they released and what it means and stuff like that, I just want to point out something that I've only seen one other person point out on YouTube, and that was the fact that Apple did not talk about the HomePod. There was no mention of the HomePod. There was no mention of release date or anything like that. So I'm kind of wondering if Apple went back to the drawing board on that. Because of the fact, that maybe they felt it wasn't revolutionary enough. Maybe they felt that they wanted to add some more features to the HomePod before they just released it, which, again, I find really odd. The other thing that I find really odd about the Apple announcement today is they really didn't talk about Siri. They really didn't push their virtual assistant like they did at last year's unveiling. They really didn't push Siri. They pushed Siri a little bit at WWDC, but you would have thought that they kind of would have went more in depth with Siri, with the way Siri sounds, what Siri's able to do now versus what she used to be able to do. And they're not talking about that. So this release was really focused on the hardware, and a little bit on the software side of it. So we're gonna get into this. I'm gonna give you my thoughts on what I thought was cool, what I thought was not so cool, and I guess whether or not I'm gonna get one or some or none or whatever. The first thing I want to talk about is the Apple Watch Series 3. I think, Apple's, with the addition of LTE, Apple is kind of just stepping up their game a little bit. It's not a major redesign change. It's not a step away from what we know. The Series 3 and the Series 2 still look like the Series 1. It's a little bit thicker, but the battery life should be better. They're saying 18 hours to battery life, which is about a day. That's about what I'm getting out of my Series 1 Apple Watch. Let's see, I put it on at about 5:30, 5:45 in the morning. So 5:45 to 5:45. Oh man, let's see, 6:50. Okay, that's 10 hours. So that's about 12 hours, 12 or so hours. And I'm at 46% right now. So yeah, give or take, that's about roughly around what I'm getting. The other thing I like about it, of course, is the fact that with the Apple Watch Series 3, you can stream iTunes music to it. Now, if you're not using iTunes, I do. I subscribe to iTunes Music. I have several playlists that's made And I really like the benefit of having iTunes Radio. And for those of y'all that may not use iTunes Music, what I like about iTunes Music is the fact that if I hear something while I'm streaming the radio to my AirPods and I say, oh man, I really like that song, then I can look at my phone and I can add that song straight to the playlist, straight to a playlist that I like. You know, I don't have to purchase anything. I don't have to do that because I have a membership. So I can add that song straight to a playlist. The fact that I could go for a run, that I could go for a bike ride, that, you know, if I accidentally leave my phone at home, I don't really have to worry about it because I have it on my watch and I got my earpods. So I can still listen to music. I can still take a phone call. I can still talk to Siri. I can still send text messages and stuff like that. And the fact that it's synced up with my number, I mean, that's a bonus. Now, somebody made a comment in one of the other streams that I was watching today that said, well, you know, Samsung can do this. Samsung's had this for a while. And, you know, no disrespect to Samsung. Now, I do not know if you can stream like Samsung Milk or Google Play Music or anything over your Samsung Watch LTE. I don't know that. But like I said, you have to give Apple props for the way that they implemented this tech, because instead of having a nano SIM or anything like that, Apple said, no, we're not doing the nano SIM, we're going with an electronic SIM. So they did the electronic SIM and they put the antennas, I don't know if y'all can see, but they put the antennas all in the front of the glass right here, which was pretty cool, I thought. You know, instead of having it in the band or having it elsewhere, they just put it right up there in the glass, which I thought was really cool. The heart rate, the way they changed up the heart rate sensor, the fact that it is a very accurate heart rate sensor was really nice. The fact that it can detect an AFib, you know, if your heartbeat is irregular, it's going to detect that. It's going to notify you that it detects that. I think it's something really awesome. I think it's something that's really cool that could, as a matter of fact, save a bunch of lives, you know. And again, a lot of people are like, well, you know, Samsung's had this, Samsung's had that. But in the same sense, though, Apple is now the #1 watch manufacturer. You know, according to their data, their sales data that they have, they've beat out Rolex, you know, to become one of the #1 smartwatch makers. You know, and I've said this for a while. If Android would come together and get a little bit of cohesion about itself instead of just being all over the place, you know, and the only company that I've found that's been able to do that is Samsung as far as the ecosystem is concerned. But it doesn't seem to have that same fit and polish that Apple is known for, that Apple continues to get in their ecosystem. Again, like I said, the watch being waterproof, the watch being dustproof, the ability, you know, when the guy was talking to the lady and she was just using the watch, I mean, the clarity, the volume of it, I mean, he didn't even have the volume turned all the way up. I have the volume turned all the way up on my Series 1 Apple device, and I still have to kind of hold it up to my ear so I can listen. So this new one being louder, being able to have a better speaker system in it, be able to just be more connected than what it already is awesome. It's awesome to me. So the Apple Watch Series 3 is definitely on my radar. I really like that. I like the color choices. I liked the things that they were able to do with it, the new exercise apps that they were able to do with it. If you're into exercising, hey Holiday, how you doing? Pray you're having a great day. but I like the fact that when you go to the gym, you can just hit your watch right up to it, and it automatically syncs everything, and you can get to burning your calories. You know, the fact that it has a barometer, I think he said it had a barometer and an altimeter on it. You know what? That's what everybody keeps saying, that the Apple Watch is catching up with the Gear S, but I don't really see it like that, you know. And the reason I say that, okay, the Gear S had cellular connection before, right? The Gear S had cellular connection before, but I think Apple took that cellular connection and one-upped them, so to say. What I mean by that is that Samsung still requires you to have a nano SIM, where Apple was like, we're not doing the nano SIM. You know, so everything's encased, everything's in-house. Then you take the heart rate monitors on the Apple Watch. The heart rate monitors have been proven to be more accurate. You know, just as accurate as going to the heart doctor, or to, you know, putting a heart monitor on. In other words, it's fairly accurate. I've tested it with my own doctor in his office, and compared the heart rate sensor on my watch to what they're getting, and it's right there. I mean, it's there, you know. Now, like I was saying, with the Samsung Gear, I don't know if you can stream music from the Samsung Gear S to a wireless pair of earbuds. I know that Samsung has built-in storage for their Gear S, you know, 4 gigs of built-in memory, where you can add a playlist or add some songs that you can run to. I can do it on this one. But one of the major things was that having Apple Music on your wrist, you know, having Apple Music on your wrist, having your playlist on your wrist. Oh, okay, so it can, okay. Oh, stream Spotify. Ah, okay. Well, this is one of the things that I thought was neat with the Apple Watch, was the fact that they were adding Apple Music to the Apple Watch. You know, where I have my whole choice of music that's on my phone, my playlist, my radio station, everything, and I can stream it right from there. All my playlist, all my music in my library, everything. Yeah, that you stored on your Gear S. You know, the fact that I can have access to all my music without having to put it on my watch, without having to worry about having to take up space on my watch, that I may be using for apps or something like that. The fact that I can just stream it to my AirPods is really, really nice. Really, really nice. And the fact that the Gear S can do that is also really nice. You know, I think we're starting to see a point where everything is just going to be wirelessly connected. You know, now that being said, the iPhone 8 and the iPhone 8 Plus, you know, I don't understand why they're calling it the iPhone 8, because it looks like the iPhone 7, you know, and that to me is what it is. It's an iPhone 7S, you know. I feel that they should have, you know, kind of stayed with the 7S theme, because that's what it is. Yeah, I mean, no doubt, Holiday. I mean, Android has been doing it, but as we've seen with Apple, when Android implements something, a lot of times it's not as polished, and Apple will take a step to say, okay, we really like this, but we're not going to put it in our tech just yet until we figure out a way to kind of make it ours, make it compatible to what we do. You know, and that's one of the things about it. Like I said, the Apple, hey Perry, how are you doing? Thank you so much for joining. You're gonna keep your iPhone 7 Plus? Yeah, man. I mean, and you know, that's the great thing about it. You know, is that you can choose to keep, you can choose to upgrade, you can choose to do anything you want, about that. Like I said, the iPhone 8 looks like the iPhone 7, and I think they should have went with the iPhone 7 Plus, maybe call it the iPhone 7s Plus Edition or something like that. Because that's what it is. It's just an iPhone 7 Plus. It's got a glass back on it. They added wireless charging. They put the new chips in it. So basically, there's no big difference besides chipset and the glass back and wireless charging. Let's see, the iPhone 8 isn't a big step up from the 7. I don't know, man. I don't know, because okay, when you're looking at the iPhone 8 and then you're looking at the iPhone 10, right? When you get them side by side, we're talking about a full 5.8-inch screen. Yeah, the chipset's the same, but let's see, what's it? I'm sorry, hold on 1 minute. No, okay. iPhone 10, the black bar does not look good when the phone is turned sideways. To me, I mean, it's kind of like the Essential phone. The Essential phone still has that little bitty camera hump right there in the middle. Now, how they utilize it, how the apps utilize it and stuff, we'll have to wait and see on that. But when you compare the iPhone 8 up against the iPhone 10, I think there is a big difference. Hey, what's going on, Phone Tech? Thank you so much. Hey, Jason, how you doing? Thank you so much for joining, guys. When you compare the iPhone 8 to the iPhone 10, I think there is a difference. Most noticeably, is screen size. Okay. The second thing that you're going to notice is the way you unlock the phone is completely different than how you unlock it with the iPhone 8. iPhone 8 still has Touch ID, which, like they said, Touch ID is 1 in 50,000 as far as security goes, and the Face ID that they have is 1 in a million. Which would I rather have? Me being the type of person that I am, I would rather have the one that's 1 in a million. The way that it unlocks is, I think, a lot different than how Samsung implements their Face Unlock and how their Retina Unlock is. Because when you look at the iPhone 10, the way that they were talking about it was you have infrared, you have in-depth cameras. Let's see, 400 is not that much higher than 401 on the iPhone 8. But that being true, Perry, that the display not being that much a difference, an OLED, you can take an OLED and an ISP, and everybody's been doing this for years and putting them up side by side, and the colors are going to pop a lot better on that OLED than they are on that ISP. You can see that in computer monitors. Yes, Phone Tech price is what we expected. Honestly, let's see. The iPhone X impressed me with the screen and come on, show up. There we go. Impressed me with the screen and the facial unlock, even though Android has been doing it for years. Yeah, exactly. Like I said, none of this is new tech that we have seen, that we haven't seen in any other phone. But again, I feel it's the way that it's being implemented. Granted, it's not new tech. Android's had it, has been having it for several years, but it's the way that it's implemented. I think a lot of people, when we're comparing tech, we a lot of times forget to look at the details of how it's implemented. Let's see. I think the facial scanner is just there so the NSA can constantly see your surroundings while you unlock your phone. Hey, man, you know what? If the NSA is that interested in every time I have to go to the restroom, hey, man, far be it from me to, pitch a fit about it or whatever. I mean, I'm just not gonna, not ditch a really cool piece of tech. But like I was saying, the iPhone 8, I feel like the iPhone 8 is just an S series of the 7. I mean, the glass back, the addition of wireless charging and a new chip. Okay, that's cool. That I'm not gonna lie. That's cool. That's an S series upgrade. The iPhone 10, I'm not gonna lie. That iPhone 10 was a head turner. That summer gun was nice, man. You know, the display on it looked really, really nice. The way they implemented. Oh yeah, they definitely took a chance. I mean, Apple really come out of their box and took a chance with this new iPhone 10 display. You know, the glass back on it looked really, really good. And of course, just like the iPhone 4s and 4Ss, you better put a case on it. Now, you know, with Face ID, you know, using Apple Pay, you know, you're going to have to look at your phone to unlock it. But if you got the Apple Watch, you can just tap twice and hold your watch up to it and be done with it and don't have to pull out your phone. Hey, Easy, how you doing? Thank you so much for joining. But, you know, I think as far as a head turner, that iPhone 10, it's a head turner. And I got to give it up to Apple for going out there. iPhone X is just following out what is now. iPhone 10 is just following what is out now. Yeah, Perry, I mean, they got to stay. You know how these companies are. They're always chasing each other. They're always chasing the latest and greatest thing. But I think, again, what we're missing is the implementation. We need you for the Team 100 stream. Yeah, man, I'm down for the Team 100 stream. Definitely. If I'm not working overtime. If I'm not working overtime, I'll be free to do the Team 100 stream. Just shoot me a text or something, and we can definitely do that, man. But I think when we're talking about the iPhone 10, yes, a lot of this tech has been out there. Yes, a lot of this tech we've already seen in Android. Yes, a lot of this tech has already been implemented for many, many years before the iPhone got into it. But remember, it's how Apple's going about it. It's how they're taking tech that already exists and just tweaking it and implementing it to where it's a little bit more secure. To see if, you know, that it's going to work and that it's not going to work just some of the time, that it's going to work 100% of the time. You know, to make sure, just like the watch, okay, if it's going to run LTE, to make sure that battery life is going to be stable. If it's going to be running Apple Music, to make sure that there's flawless playback when you're running Apple Music over cellular. You know, to be able, instead of saying, okay, we're going to put a nano SIM in it, we're going to make the watch bigger, we're going to go with a round face. Apple stuck to their guns and said, no, we're going to go with a square face. We're going to keep the design that we got, but we're going to make our own SIM card, and we're going to redo the antenna bands, and we're going to implement them into the front display of the watch. On the Apple iPhone 10, you know, it was, okay, everybody's done OLED, but Apple said, no, it's not good enough for us. This is what we want to do with OLED. This is what we want to show what OLED looks like on the iPhone. You know, not just saying, okay, we're going to buy Samsung's tech, or we're going to buy this tech or that tech. You know, it's the fact that Apple said, no, we want to use this tech, but we want to implement it in a way that everybody knows that it's us, you know. And I'm not taking away, and I understand Samsung Gear S3 has been doing a lot of stuff that the Apple Watch is doing, but you have to look at the implementation of it. How many times has Samsung come out with something only for it to slow down, or only for something to not work for a little while, to bog down, to slow down? Yeah, most definitely. Hey, KB, how you doing? But, you know, it's the fact that, yes, I understand that Samsung's been doing it for a while. Android's been doing it for a while. But one of the things that I like, do you know that with the Watch 3, with the Series 3 watch, that iOS 4, I'm getting iOS 4 on my Series 1 watch. That's one of the things. When did the Samsung Gear S, the original Gear S, the big one that come over, what's the last update that it's gotten? You know, what's the last update for the Samsung Galaxy Gear S1? You know, when's the last Samsung phone that you know of gotten an update to Android Nougat? I'm talking about the Galaxy S3, the Galaxy S4. If you buy a Apple iPhone 10, it's going to be supported up to 5 years. If you buy an iPhone 7S or iPhone 8, if you buy an iPhone 8, it's going to be supported 5 years. The iPhone 7 that came out last year still got 4 years support, you know. And I mean, it's just the thing. It's just the thing. Everybody's like, "Oh, well, Android's done it. Android's done it." But it seems to me that when Android does something, the industry doesn't move. Have you noticed that? When you see that Android implements something just like wireless charging, you know, the industry really didn't move all that much. Let's see. Oh, okay. Okay, that's the Gear S3, Perry. That's the Gear S3 and the Gear S2. What about the original Gear S? And what about the Gear? Which one? The Samsung. The Gear, the Samsung Galaxy Gear, and then this other big Samsung big Gear. But Neo, yeah, maybe that was it, the Gear Neo. But still, the fact of the matter being is that when Android implemented something, how many times did the industry change? Okay, that's what I'm talking about. So, they're all running Tizen. Okay. But when Apple said, okay, we're coming out with wireless charging, we're going to have wireless charging, and they introduced that pad, that wireless charging pad. And they had Belkin on board. They had the Qi Consortium, or whatever wireless charging standard that Apple is pushing. There's going to be a lot more movement in the market now for wireless charging than there was when 99.9% of Android phones had wireless charging. You're going to see a major market push in wireless charging tech, now that Apple's adopted it and is basically making it mainstream. Now don't get me wrong, I'm not knocking Android. I'm not saying, well, Apple's better than Android and this is better than... I'm just trying to give y'all some of the reasons why I think that this stuff is Apple's doing the things that it's doing. You know, the Apple waits to implement this tech. You know, exactly, Jason. Once Apple adopts USB-C is going to fly off the shelves. Everybody's going to have USB-C. You know, especially when it comes to the iPhone. You know, the Mac's adopted USB-C, but until the iPhone adopts it, it's really not going to take off. And I imagine we'll start seeing USB-C either next year or the year after that. You know, but that's the thing about it. Look at Android Wear. Android Wear has been out for a little while, right? The Moto 360 was a beautiful smartwatch. The Moto 360 II was a beautiful smartwatch, beautiful design smartwatch, both of them. There has been nothing heard about the Moto 363. Let's see. Okay, hold on. I got to hit this back. I'm sorry, guys. Okay. That what it sound like since Apple is it, the thing are going to get better. Oh, yeah, things are going to get better. I mean, I think so. You know, and especially if Apple adopts the tech, that normally means that the rest of the industry, you know, gets a... and then they either start adding tech that they had earlier, or they see how Apple tweaked it and they say, oh, well, we can tweak that better, and then they implement it. You're always going to have this back and forth. You're going to have this back and forth between iOS and Android. You're always going to have one say, okay, well, we got this and it's brand new, and then you're going to have the other one saying, okay, you know what, that's pretty cool, but we're going to tweak it and we're going to make it our own. And then everybody's like, oh, wow, man, that is so cool. Just like notifications. Just like the notification shape when you pull it down and it's got all the quick settings on there. Remember, Samsung had that on their TouchWiz on the Gear S2, Gear S3. Where you could swipe down on the notification tray and it had all your little quick settings on there. And I mean, Samsung threw everything in there, including the kitchen sink. Well, now we see iOS 11. Apple's done that where you pull it down, you got your volume control, your shader control, where you can turn the brightness on your phone up or down, Bluetooth settings, all like this, and a much easier way to set it. It's not as, let's see, what am I thinking of? It's not as cluttered as what Samsung's was, and that's the best word that I can think of. But it's not as cluttered as what the TouchWiz Control Center was on iOS 11. So, and Apple's whole thing is more about design. How does it fit together? How does it work together? How does it look? Is it aesthetically pleasing to the eye? Apple's attention to detail can't be overlooked. We can't give a pass to anybody if their UI is cluttered and not aesthetically pleasing, if that makes sense. And we can't give Apple a pass if they're implementing something just as a Me Too thing. I think Apple realized a lot of customers have been asking for wireless charging, myself included, and Apple was like, okay, we'll do that, and of course Apple had to go out and make it their own. But let's see, Apple finally has wireless charging, and it's about time. That's right. But they should have thought it out with that dip in the screen. Yeah, I mean, I'm really glad that Apple does have wireless charging in KB. I don't think the dip in the screen is really going to bother me that much, because we'll see certain apps that may just kind of block that off. I didn't care about the wireless. I just wanted fast charging. It's funny that you bring that up. Now, Perry's saying I'm giving Apple a pass on everything they do. I think as someone who uses Apple and Android, I think there are things that Apple does and Apple does better, that Apple implements better than Android. Now, that being said, I think there are a lot of times that Apple just says, hey, we got it too. We did it too, like the OLED. Everybody's had OLED for years. And I think Apple did it because Apple seen that people were leaving their platform to go to a platform that had more of the benefits and more of the features than what anybody else did. One of the major things, could have been battery life. It could have been that Apple said, okay, we're going to keep this battery life. We're going to keep this chipset. All apps developers can scale it. Yeah, exactly. And one thing I want to touch on real quick is that I did read that they possibly do have wireless charging, because they were talking about that you can charge it up to 50% in 30 minutes. So I do think Apple has a form of wireless charging. We'll just have to, Apple has a form of fast charging. I'm going to have to look that up and find out what article I read that on. I think it was Techno Buffalo, but I'm not 100% sure, because I've read a lot of articles today. But to get back to what I was saying, it could have been with Apple's chipset that they have, and the fact that Apple normally has a much smaller battery than the competition. I don't even think Apple's hit 200 milliamps yet on their batteries. So Apple may have been concerned that, okay, if we're putting a battery in the iPhone that's not 200 milliamps. And Samsung and Google and HTC and all these other LG are all running 3000, 3500, 3800, and on up, said, you know, that they got OLED in there, and the OLED screen is still sucking a lot of battery in there. Apple might have been like, you know what, we're gonna wait until the OLED tech develops a lot more, or until we find a way to develop it ourselves with the panels that we're using, to maximize the battery in it, so that way it just doesn't drain the phone when you're out in bright sunlight. I mean, that's truly a possibility, you know. I think these are things. That Apple thinks about, you know, where Samsung and Google and all them, they've been using this technology for a while, and they keep putting bigger and bigger batteries in there, where Apple's like, you know what, we don't want a bigger battery in there, we want a thinner case. You know, wireless charge at McDonald's, I didn't know that you could charge your phone wireless there. I didn't either. Unless they got Qtech on there, holiday. You know, set it down on the table, be like beep beep. But you know, that's one things to it. You know, and it's not that I think Apple was saying, oh well, look, we got OLED. I think Apple could have put OLED in about 2 or 3 phones ago. They probably could have put OLED in the iPhone 5S or 6S or 6. You know, it's just the fact that they may not have been wanting to sacrifice the battery life of their product. You know, they said, look, we done maxed out the ISP display as far as it can go. Apple does have one of the best ISP displays on the market. And now they decided that, hey, you know what? We got a more efficient chip. We got a more efficient software. We got a more efficient OLED panel. So now we want to put OLED in the phone. And you know what? I'm okay with that. You know, it's just going to keep moving forward, you know. And to bring it back, you know, that's just like, let's see, depends on the location. Some newer McDonald's have leather seat fireplaces. What? And wireless charging? Dude, I couldn't imagine being at McDonald's, eating on a Big Mac, sitting on leather. What? It done went upscale. Self-serve. That's what I'm talking about. But you know, one of the things like with Android Pay, okay, came out. You know, Android had NFC, right? And I'm using this as an example. Android had NFC for years, right? Apple didn't have NFC. That was one of the major things that they were showing on the commercials. It's like, oh, you got a picture? Yeah, I got a picture. Here, show me the picture. And it was beep. And they shared a picture. You know, I think that was the Samsung Galaxy S3 on that commercial. It may have been S4 also. But it was one of those things where Android had NFC for many, many years. Android Pay was out. You know, people were, I know a buddy of mine was using it. He walked up, tapped his phone to the Coke machine, and a Coke fell out. And I was like, dude, he's like, yeah, man, NFC, you can't do that. And I was like, you know, but it's one of those things that when Apple adopted NFC and they were using NFC for Apple Pay, look how many areas have NFC now. I'm serious. When the S3, S4, S5, S6 had NFC, when the Google Nexus 6 had NFC, when the Google any of the Google phones, when the HTC 11, when the LGs, all these had NFCs, you know, the HTC M7, HTC M8, M9, M10 had NFC. As soon as Apple adopted NFC, it blew up. It blew up. I mean, guys, I can go up here to Family Dollar in my hometown, in my little bitty hometown, Family Dollar, the local grocery store, and Dollar General, they got NFC. Now, 6 years ago, I would still be using cash or a debit card, you know, and they still, I mean, the debit card was still the swipes, you know, but I was still using that. But as soon as Apple adopted NFC, man, NFC took off like freaking hotcakes, man. I mean, people would, it was like, oh, y'all got, oh, here, let me pay for this. Beep. I'm done. You know, and the lady's like, whoa. I'm like, yeah. But, again, it's one of those things to where it was out before anybody else. It was out before anybody else. Before Apple even thought about getting it. And nobody had it. But as soon as Apple put it in their phone, as soon as Apple made it a standard, it blew up. It blew up. So then Android, okay, it was Google Wallet. You could do Google Wallet. Let's see. I'm an OS user, but Samsung Pay is still better than Apple Pay. They won that war. Hey, you know what? Samsung Pay is awesome. I'm not going to lie. What is that? MTS? Magnetic Transfer or something. MST, MTS, whatever. I think it was a brilliant move on Samsung's part. The fact that I don't even have to worry about whether they accept NFC or not was awesome. Awesome. I give Samsung that. And until somebody comes out with something better, man, that was a brilliant move on Samsung's part. I give them that. Now, will more and more banks and cards start accepting Samsung Pay or whatever? We'll have to wait. We'll have to wait and see on that one. But you know, like I said, that's not okay. Google had Google Wallet that you could do NFC, that you could do mobile payments with. Well, then Google said, no, we're not going to do that with Google Wallet. We're just going to make Google Wallet a thing where you can just send money to each other. We came out with Android Pay, you know. So then they come out with Android Pay. Then they get, you know, and it's like, if you just would have kept it Google Wallet and just stuck to what people were familiar with, and I think that's one of the things that a lot of Android users forget about, Apple users, is that Apple tends to kind of stick to the same formula. So I don't have to worry about, okay, well, what is this, or what is that, or what is this? You know, it's always there. Holiday says, Holiday. All right, hold on 1 minute. I get your comment up. Okay, you're right. Apple has set the standard of what Android is doing now. Android just ran with it and made some of the stuff better. Yeah, well, I mean, you know what, Holiday, it's a give and take. It's a give and take. You know, there's times when Android comes out with something and they'll be the first to it, and then Apple will, I don't know, put some shake and bake on it and then bring it out, and it's like it changes the whole industry. And then there's times when Apple comes out with something and Android's like, oh, okay, that's pretty cool, and then Android implements it and it's way better than what Apple has, you know. One of the things that I think to make a valid point in what we're talking about how Apple operates and how Apple implements stuff, look at Google Hangouts, right? For this example, I'm going to use Google Hangouts. Google Hangouts with text message, video calling, and phone calling, that had been out for a while, where you could video chat and stuff like that. The problem was that the video quality of the chat was not that great. Even over Wi-Fi, the video quality was not that great. Then Apple says, hey, we got FaceTime. And we got iMessage, right? So, now you look at how Apple implemented FaceTime and look at the video quality of FaceTime. Okay, Google had it out first. Google had Hangouts out first. But when Apple came out with FaceTime and the video quality of FaceTime come out, it was like night and day compared to Hangouts. Then you take iMessage. iMessage, the messaging platform itself, was day and night compared to Google Hangouts messaging system. So instead of Google improving Hangouts and making Hangouts better, because everybody was already used to Hangouts, right? Everybody was already used to using Hangouts. So instead of Google making Hangouts better, they come out with Allo and Duo. And you still got Hangouts. Why? Improve what you have. You know, everybody jumps on Apple's case because, well, you know, so-and-so did it before, so-and-so did it before them, so-and-so's done it, you know, da-da-da-da-da. But, again, Apple has set the example that even though these other companies have implemented this stuff first, Apple set the standard. Apple turned around and turned the industry on its head with tech that was already out there. They just polished it. They cleaned it up. They put their spin on it, stuck it in the iPhone, and said, look at what we got. You know? Now, OLED screens on the iPhone X. No, Apple is not the first to do OLED screens. But I guarantee you, it's going to be one of the best looking screens next to the Samsung Galaxy S8. And we're going to have a lot of those comparisons. You know, let's see, Apple is tight with their OS and they're like that for a reason. Yeah, exactly. Exactly. But that's what I'm saying. It's not, you know, everybody always wants it to make a us versus them or them versus us. It's a win-win for us as the consumers because tech just keeps getting better and better, no matter who you like. Look, if you've owned an Android phone for years and you've seen them start taking away wireless charging and going with fast charging, you know, or you've seen them not implementing an app just right, like Hangouts or something like that, and then Apple comes along and says, hey, we got wireless charging. All of a sudden, it was like the wireless charging industry just got a shot of adrenaline. Like they just turned into the Incredible Hulk. Seriously. Now, that's what I was wanting to get to, is that the Q mat, there was a wireless charging mat. I think it was called the Q Power Mat, I believe it was, and you rolled it out, and you could set every device on there that you wanted to wirelessly charge. You could set it on there, and it would charge multiple devices at one time. But that mat was huge. That mat was huge. Now, Apple said, we got a mat. We got a power mat, and I'm going to say it's probably about this wide. It's probably about, I don't know, maybe 3 to 5 inches in length. And you can put, I can get a wireless charging case for my AirPods and set them, I don't know if y'all can, set them on there and charge that. I can charge my iPhone, so I can set both of these next to each other and charge them, along with my watch. I can set my watch on there and charge them all at the same time, pick them up in the morning and be gone. No more wires. No more wires except for one. For Android fans, that's a godsend. Because now, guess who's going to implement that technology? Guess who now is going to use the industry standard so that they can use these products by Belkin, these third-party manufacturers, and say, hey, look, we got the Qi standard in here. We're going to use it, you know, or we're going to use this for our watch, or for this, or for that, you know. I'm not, you know, I want you guys to understand that I'm not taking anything away from anything that Samsung has done, that Google has done, or anything like that. I think they've done a lot of great things. But again, I think where Samsung and Google are misstepping is the fit and finish, the polish of the software, the way they implement the software. You know, the man, I can't. I can't really put it into words, because it's so many times I've seen Google come out with something really, really good. I'm kind of going to go off topic here just a little bit. But Google came out with a streaming device that was a little bitty orb. It was a little bitty orb, and it had a 25-watt amp in it that you could hook up just a pair of bookshelf speakers to have stereo surround in the living room. It come out $300, right? This was at the time when you could walk up to it with your Android phone, and you could just lay your Android phone on the device, and it would automatically pair with NFC. It was brilliant, brilliant. Come out $300, right? Google scrapped it. Just scrapped it. Just scrapped the whole thing. I wanted to buy one, and Google scrapped it. Everybody that pre-ordered one, they got to keep theirs, But Google scrapped it because people was complaining, oh, it's $300. Oh, we are not going to be able, that's too high, that's too high. Google could have dropped that price, had an introductory price for $200. Let people buy it for $200. Word of mouth would have got out, and people would have said, hey, you know what, this is a really good streaming device. It's a really good audio device. There's several things that we can do to it. Google could have kept that and could have kept that device going and still sent updates. It could have made it to where, okay, you know what, we're going to send you the Chromecast update. You know what, we're going to allow it to work with the remote, so if your phone's dead or if it's charging somewhere else, we're going to allow you to be able to control this device because we've put Android TV on it, Google has all these great ideas, but they don't stick to them. And that's something that I really like about Apple, is that Apple has an idea, Apple implements the tech, Apple polishes the tech, and they support the tech. That's something that's very, very important to me. No, Apple were not the first ones to do Face ID. Apple was not the first ones to do wireless charging. Apple was not the first ones to do OLED screens. Apple was not the first ones to have a glass back on their phone. Apple was not one of the first ones to have FaceTime, video calling. Apple was not the first one to have a messaging app. Let's see, all of that Apple are going to start. There are a lot of Apple things, but like I was saying, Apple, there's a lot of things that Apple hasn't been first on, but iMessage is very nice, but it seems like to me when Apple implements something, the industry changes, even though they weren't the first to do it. When Apple implements something, the industry changes. And I think, whether you're an Android fan, whether you're an Apple fan, if you're just a fan of technology, you should recognize this. Why do so many people continue to buy iPhone after iPhone after iPhone? Because they're used to it, because they don't have to worry about having to learn new gestures, new stuff. The OS is very, very familiar to them. The support, the technical support, the fact that you can call up Apple Care and get support when you need it. There's several reasons why people like Apple, why people stick with Apple. And if Google would pull some of the resources and focus, quit bouncing all over the place trying to do stuff. And I commend Samsung. I commend Samsung for recognizing this and saying, hey, you know what? our smartwatch, we got LTE, we got where you can stream music from our watch. We got it to where you know, you can do everything on an Apple Watch and then some. I commend Samsung for that. I do. I really do. And to me, and it's getting, I don't know about you guys, but to me, it's getting to where this now is a two horse race. Google, unless Google comes out with something amazing with the Google Pixel 2, it's going to be Apple and Samsung. That's who's going to dominate. And I have a feeling that Samsung's going with Tizen. If Samsung was not going to go with Tizen and was going to stick with Android, they would have never put Tizen in their smartwatch. They're beta testing Tizen on their smartwatch to make sure it's going to be good enough for their phones. And like I said, I feel that it's a two horse race. You know, unless Android pulls a rabbit out of their hat and comes out with something truly amazing, I don't see Google really getting ahead. You know, I mean, Samsung's already got their Experience UI or whatever they're calling it. You know, and it's a nice UI. It's a nice skin that's slapped on top of Android. You know, but like I said, I feel like that Samsung is fixing to go with Tizen. I feel like that Samsung's fixing to say, we're not doing Android anymore. We can make more money running our own OS with our own themes, our own gestures, and stuff like that. We don't need Android anymore. And I'm sure there are several Samsung Knights out there that would be more than happy with that. Just the same way there are Apple fans that are more than happy to pay that much money for I guess Samsung is going on its own, the Google OS. Come on. Yes, Samsung is going with their own OS. Google is going to be in trouble. Exactly. That's honestly, that's how I feel. That Google better do something. And Google better do something fast. The Essential phone, beautiful phone. Beautiful phone. Software implemented, it's a beautiful phone. But it still fell short. For Andy Rubin's very first phone, it checked a lot of the boxes, but it still left a lot to be desired. Now, that being said, if he's able to put out another Essential phone 2 and really bring to fruition, you know, and if Google can tighten up Android, we could have a new contender. We could make it a 3-horse race. But we'll have to wait and see next year on that, because as far as I know, I don't think the Essential phone has sold that well. I really don't. And the Google Pixel 2, it's got the same design as the Google Pixel. Is implementing the squeeze sides. I mean, I feel like Google's just putting something out there just to have something out there. But at the same time, that being said, you know, Google is buying HTC's phone business, so maybe we'll see something come of that. But as far as Apple's announcements today, as far as like the Apple Watch Series 3, the iPhone 8, and the iPhone 10, and the 4K video that Apple TV, the new Apple TV, is going to be supporting 4K video. It's also going to have a sports deal on it where, and this I thought was really interesting, because I have an Apple TV, and me and my wife in particular, we got college teams that we like to watch. So the fact that we can pin and say, you know, just like basketball, I like Chicago Bulls. A lot of people are like, well, you're from Texas. How come you don't like Dallas? I do like Dallas. I do like the Dallas Mavericks. But I'm a Chicago Bulls fan because of Michael Jordan and watching Michael Jordan play for many, many, many years. I followed Jordan's career. So I can pin that the Bulls are my favorite NBA team, and anytime that they're playing, it'll give me live stats, and it'll show me what channel that they're playing on, and I can go straight to that channel and watch the Chicago Bulls play. That's really, really cool. The fact that I can pin the Dallas Cowboys football team, or the Texas Longhorns, or the Oklahoma Sooners, or Oklahoma State. I think that's really, really cool. Samsung is Google #1. They have to do something. Yeah, Google's going to have to do something because Bulls, baby, I know, right? But I thought was really, really cool that they're doing, with the software, with Apple TV. I don't know, again, Google with Chromecast, they're not really showing that. Again, Google with Android TV, they're not really showing that. I think that's something. I don't know if Samsung's got a streaming device or whatever. I know Roku. I don't know if Roku's doing anything like that. I haven't seen it on any of the Roku devices that are around. Amazon Fire Stick's not doing that. So there's a lot to be said there. Now I'm sure that since Apple has implemented this, there's going to be a lot of other people that's going to implement it. But I guess the major question is, will I be getting one? Like I said at the beginning, I definitely want the Apple Watch Series 3. I definitely want that. And yes, I am going to try and purchase a Samsung. Gotcha. No, I definitely am going to try and purchase a iPhone 10. I really like the device. I think it's really nice. I think Apple did a very good job. I think it's a beautiful phone, and it's different. It's different. It's unique in the way that they implemented the software. It's unique in the way that they did the gestures, the fact that it doesn't have the home button, the facial recognition software that they have being more secure than Touch ID. So yeah, I'm definitely looking forward to it. Guys, as always, I pray that y'all enjoyed the conversation. I pray that y'all really liked it, really enjoyed it. Thank you so much. If you're new to the channel, please hit that like button, pound that subscribe button. It really helps me to grow as a YouTuber. Thank you, everybody, for joining. Thank you, everybody, for joining the conversation, for being in chat and everything. Thank you to Perry. Thank you to Holiday. Thank you to KB. Thank you to Phone Tech at Work. Thank you to Easy Computer Solutions. Guys, if y'all see any of these guys and gals in my stream, go and check out their channel. Thank you, Jason. Thank you so much. Go and check out these guys' channel because they put in just as much work, if not more, than I do. All I do is sit up here and talk and play video games the other half of the time. But they are really, really good YouTubers. They deserve all the acclamation, all the accolades, and all the subscribers that they can get. So thank you guys so much for watching. Thank you so much for being here. As always, this is your J Ray saying peace. Have a blessed night.